Let's talk about classroom seating to create productive learners. Let's do it. Do you want to improve your classroom management skills? Do you want to increase student engagement? How about amplifying student success? If these are things you're interested in, you've come to the right place. Welcome to Things That Work. You may have seen my earlier video on classroom seating. If you haven't, please take a look at it. It's very important. It talks about the fact that we need to be flexible as teachers in how we seat our students and to seat students based on the need of what you are presenting and how you are presenting and what's going on in the classroom at that time. Taking that a step further, we can, as teachers, strategically set up a classroom to promote more effective learning. I want to talk a little bit about maker spaces. Now, in my classroom, it is way too small to have dedicated maker spaces, but when class assignments require that we create a product of some kind that will require color and other types of things like creativity, other creative processes beyond just writing, then I make sure that all of the pods in my classrooms can be converted to maker spaces. I place tubs at each pod that have enough supplies for all the students in that small group to take care of the assignment they need to do. Whatever it is they're creating, they have the markers, they have the map colors, they have the scissors, they have everything they need in that tub for their group at the beginning of each day. Now, if your classroom is big enough to actually have a dedicated table and a maker space, I would suggest you hit up Pinterest, type in maker spaces, and look at some of the brilliant ideas that teachers have when they have the space to create dedicated areas for creation of projects. So you heard me just talk about pods and clusters. Well, let me talk a little about what pods and clusters are. Pods and clusters are ideal for collaboration. When you are teaching and students have the opportunity to discuss what you are teaching among themselves, it presents an opportunity for deeper learning, better engagement, and more successful learners in your classroom, and that is what we are all about. When I first started using clusters and really delving into collaborative learning, I was concerned they would only be talking about what was going on after school, on the weekends, or at home. Some of that does take place, let's be real. However, I was thoroughly amazed while I was engaged teaching and walking the room to hear the students actually having conversations among themselves about the ideas and information that I'm presenting. I'm an English teacher, so when I'm discussing some of the things we are reading, they are actually also engaged in their own discussions based on what I have said in the classroom. I find it very helpful to use pods and clusters. Another thing that pods and clusters does is it fosters kind of a family feel in your classroom. If your classroom can kind of become the second family of the students, then it becomes a place they want to be more often than not. Even if you're teaching things they don't want to hear, they would rather be there than anywhere else. Part of it is because of the family environment that pods and clusters create. Sitting in a circle. There are times in the year when we seat ourselves in a great big circle. Students are looking at each other, I'm in the middle of the circle, and I facilitate conversation that way. This also fosters kind of a family feel. It's a round area, no one is invisible, everyone is being able to be seen, and when input is given, everyone hears the input. And when you ask a question of a student, what I have found is they're more likely to respond in a circle situation with everyone looking at them than when they are facing forward and you call on a student and they feel like they're the center of attention all of a sudden. Well, they're already the center of attention. They're already being looked at. So that fear has kind of been alleviated by sitting in a circle. Try next time you have to have a discussion in class, try sitting them in a circle. Now, there are times when I've had 32, 34 students in a class and it makes a great big circle. In fact, it's kind of cramped. Like I mentioned earlier, my classroom's not giant, so I've got to do quite a bit of manipulation of the seating in order to get that many chairs in a circle. It's worth it when the material that we're covering demands that type of setting. Finally, my least used and least favorite setup of a classroom are rows and columns. Usually in the first couple of days of school, when I am giving just basic procedural information and basic, hey, I'm the teacher, you're the student, this is our room, blah, 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 blah. All that kind of thing I do with rows and columns. Only for the first couple of days. Then we go straight into the clusters. Now, I would suggest you take a look at some of my first days of school videos. Go check out those videos and you'll see kind of how I do my seating for the first couple of weeks of school. Another time rows and columns are important are when you are giving a test. It is just easier to watch the students as they engage the assessment. You are able to see when they are struggling. You're able to see when they are disengaged. It is very important that you actively monitor the students while they are participating in an assessment, and it is just easier to do in rows and columns. I enjoy learning with you. I enjoy teaching with you, and together we can take over the world.